Shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah! Welcome! Nice big box of Funko Pops to open and show you today. All of these new releases in the WWE line, that is the line I've been collecting the longest. And all my WWE Pops, for those who don't know, they're out of box and in the cabinets behind me. Not those ones, those are James Bond, but I'll no doubt have some shuffling around to do eventually as they bring out more WWE ones. So plenty to look at today. There's technically 4 Pops, but one's a 2-pack, so 5. I think I got that right. And of course, they're from PopCultcha, who have apparently been slinging collectibles worldwide since '93. I was 13 in 1993. That guy behind me was about 40. So these are all the standard price for a pop now with the usual Australian postage. The single ones are around between 10 and 13. The 2-pack was around 20. And I think I did get a little bit of money off because I cashed in some of my pop pennies. Are they called pop pennies at PopCultcha? I think so. Quite a lot of packaging in here, which is good to see. An invoice, which I don't need. And double boxed, so I will need the knife again. Second box to be opened. Seems a little bit small actually for all the ones I've ordered. I hope they haven't forgot any. I did notice a label on the outside of the main box, the outer box, that listed my order. But I didn't check it closely because I couldn't be bothered to put my glasses on because the type was small. So let's see. No, I didn't need to worry. Now, of course, they'd all fit in. Just seemed a little bit on the small side, really, ultimately. But no, worrying over nothing. Right, I like the fact they're all bottom up as well. I can kind of get these out at random and it can almost be like a mystery box. It's not a mystery box because I know exactly what I've bought. I think we'll start with a 2-pack actually, why not? It's been a while since I've got a Funko Pop 2-pack. And this is a tag team in WWE who it's about bloody time they released Pops. I'm talking about the Usos, Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. Now, ironically, Pops come out for the Usos and they're not actually together anymore. I won't go into storylines and stuff because you can check that out for yourself, and if you follow WWE, which obviously I do, then you'll know anyway. So we won't spend too long looking at the outer packaging, the boxes today, because I'm going to get all these out today anyway and leave them out. But this looks in decent condition. Just a quick look on the back to see a couple of other 2-packs that they've brought out, which aren't tag teams. I don't know if I like that actually, when they put sort of like rivals together. Like they've got a 2-pack of Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker there from a match they had quite a few years ago now. And then one of Triple H and Ronda Rousey, who they've never teamed up either. They were opponents in a mixed tag at WrestleMania some years back. So quite sort of 2 dated 2-packs there, and they're not even teams, they're rivals. But that's a team, or it was a team up until fairly recently. Let's get Jimmy and Jey out. Just check that there's no stands or anything that might come flying out. We'll close this box up pretty carefully as I'll put that and all the others into storage. Here's Jey first of all. Looks good. Kind of looks still how he does now on TV. It's not really like a dated mould or pose or anything, even though this would have been based on the look when he was a heel in the Bloodline, Roman Reigns' family stable, if you will. He's got that dyed red hair there at the bottom. Always like the texture on hair on Pops as well. Sort of posing with his finger on his right hand out. His boots match that bit of his hair. Lovely. So, on to Jimmy Uso, who's got a Bloodline baseball cap on. That's nice. There again, he's also got a little bit of dyed hair. and his red boots match as well. He's got a t-shirt on with some sort of logo on. I'm assuming it's a Bloodline t-shirt. It's a little bit small for me to see, and I'm recording this in the evening, so I've not really got any natural light to help me out, but you'll probably be able to see that fairly well if I hold it there. But yeah, that's the Usos. Could end up being my favourite of the pickups, these, really, just because I think we've been, as WWE fans, we've been wanting the Usos in pop form for years now, really. But on we go to the next one. Let's just pick one at random. Okay. So this one is number 135, and it's the Big Boss Man. This one is a special edition. I think it was a GameStop exclusive in America. We, of course, get the generic, but rather nice, new European, I always call it, special edition sticker. So this one is a relatively new release, but it came out a little bit earlier than the Usos and the other two to show you. But I decided not to order this one when it got in stock, because I knew that all the others would be coming out eventually. It was about a month later, and I thought, you know, save on postage. Just get them all at once, you know, hoping that the Big Boss Man wouldn't sell out at PopCultcha, and why would he? And I'm sure if he had, I would have been able to pick him up from somewhere else. But it's the classic Big Boss Man look there, the look that he had in the 1980s into the early 90s, before he left for WCW, where he had a few different names and one or two slightly different gimmicks, and then he would eventually return to the WWF in the late 90s with the whole black get-up on, being kind of a heel enforcer for McMahon's corporation. I've shown you the majority of those on the back before, so we won't bang on too much about those. Let's get Boss Man out. So, real name Ray Traylor. Boss Man passed away, ooh, he must be getting on for about 15 years ago now. God, don't time fly. Another box to put in storage, and here is Boss Man. He's got his trademark blue shirt on, that sort of sky blue sort of shade, I would call it. I think his gimmick was always meant to be sort of like a prison guard. I think when I was younger, I was getting into wrestling when I was kind of 9-10 years old, and probably when Boss Man was at the tail end of being a heel, and then he turned babyface sort of early 90s, I think. I always thought he was meant to be a policeman, but no, I think once he'd had that feud with the Mountie, which culminated in that rather entertaining match, the Jailhouse match at SummerSlam 91, I think it was pretty obvious that he was actually a prison guard. And then of course he had that feud with the infamous Nails a year or so later. Nails, of course, having the gimmick of a former prisoner who claimed he was persecuted by the Boss Man during Boss Man's previous career as a prison guard. Yeah, some of these storylines, they're a little bit cretinous, to put it mildly. He's got his billy club, or his nightstick, in his hand. We over here would call it a truncheon. He's got the black trousers with a yellow stripe down it. Shiny black shoes. Decent enough. Not massively exciting, but it's always good to get a classic character, a legend, a vintage character, if you will, in pop form. So that was the Boss Man. So we move on, and the next one is one of my favourites from the 1990s. I think I probably preferred his WCW run, to be honest, than his WWF run. Ravishing Rick Rude, of course, who had a good run in the late 80s in the WWF, including a memorable victory, albeit a tainted one, for the Intercontinental title over the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6, I want to say. It wasn't 6, it was WrestleMania 5, of course. WrestleMania 6 was where Warrior faced Hogan for both belts. Duh. I'm getting this out without even looking at the box, but the box is in good condition, and I wouldn't really care even if it wasn't. Yeah, it's the same line on the back that was on the back of the Boss Man pop box. Rude did go on to be pretty successful as kind of like a main eventer, and he did hold a version of the world title in WCW a couple of times, but really his kind of level was upper mid-card throughout the majority of his career, and then he had to give it up in the mid-90s due to, I'm not sure, it might be neck injuries possibly. And the tragedy was, he died in 1999, and apparently he was training for an in-ring comeback during that, so if things had worked out better for Mr. Rude here, he may have made a return out of retirement after about 5 years on the shelf. He's got his stubble. Now, this is what I love about Rick Rude, and I think the WWF, to be fair, probably had more of a variety of these than when he was in WCW, and that was his custom trunks with people's faces on the crotch. Just hold that a bit closer. I think he's got his own face on there. But it was always amusing when he'd have like his opponent's face or Jake Roberts' wife on his package, so to speak. Great. I like Rick Rude. I always thought he was a great in-ring wrestler, and I liked his gimmick. You know, great heel. Not sure I ever really saw him as a babyface, to be honest. He just seemed to be a heel wherever he went. Of course, he was briefly kind of the manager of D-Generation X in their very early form in 1997. Yep, ravishing Rick Rude. So we're getting through these fairly quickly. We've only got one more to go. If you've seen the intro, and hopefully you have, because if you haven't, it meant I had to remove it for copyright. You'll know what the last pop is. Let's get this box out of the way. And it's time, it's time. It's number 138 in the Pop WWE line time. It's Vader time. Another legend, another one who's sadly not with us. In fact, apart from the Usos, it's been kind of like a dead wrestler special, this one, to put it a bit bluntly, I suppose. Same lineup on the back. Box, great condition. All of these have come perfect. I know in the past there's been problems with melted plastic inserts for Pops as well, and so far, and I've ordered quite a lot from PopCultcha over the years, that's never happened to me before, but if it did happen for my WWE collection, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because these are all out of box for me. So here's Vader. Now, my problem with this is that, you know, Vader was kind of a heavy-set guy. Bossman was for a time in his career, or he did manage to shift a lot of weight around the sort of turn of the 80s to the 90s. The Bossman is more sort of representative of how he looked once he'd, you know, been on a diet, whereas Vader was always, you know, a big guy, not muscular, but big as in, like the rest of us, husky gentlemen, really. And he just doesn't look big enough, really. I know the moulds and the figures have got to conform to certain sizes and measurements and standards, but that would be my one problem with this, because otherwise it's a great looking Pop. He's got his weird mask on that often just used to fall off during matches. Of course, another guy who was in WCW as well as WWE, like Rude and Bossman were, really big heel and successful in WCW. WWF, when he went there in 1996, he started out as, you know, the #1 heel instantly, but he kind of got on the wrong side of Shawn Michaels. Didn't win the title like he was expected to at SummerSlam of that year, and it was kind of downhill from there, really. But he had a big career in Japan as well, and, you know, he's done shoot fighting and things like that. He's got his Vader time singlet on, I suppose it would be. See his goatee there. Quite an unusual, almost Legion of Doom or Road Warriors-esque sort of hairstyle too. That's it with the Pops today in the WWE line. We've got Vader, we've got the ravishing one himself, Rick Rude, we've got from Cobb County, Georgia, serving hard time, the Big Boss Man, and I think still my favourites, because I've just been waiting for these to come out for years, as I think a lot of Funko collectors / WWE fans have. Jay and Jimmy, should hold them like that really, but it doesn't matter. The Usos. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this look at 5 brand new Funko Pops, all in the WWE wrestling category. 4 technically, but that's when you count a 2-pack as 1 pop. I want to say special thanks, as always, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I've got lots of Funko-related affiliate links down in the description text box, and also there is my Patreon link. Please have a look and think about supporting this channel from as little as $1 United States dollar a month. And there's also my Facebook group. That's totally free, as long as you don't mind giving all your data up to those lads at Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. But that's free, always has been, always will be, and it'll be great to see you there and have a chat. I'm gonna go now. I've got all these to put away in their cabinets. I've made some space where I want them to go. They're not really in any order, my WWE pops, although what I would call strictly WCW characters or gimmicks do tend to stay at the front, because it was WCW guys that I started collecting back in 2018, and then I decided I was going to collect the rest of the WWE pops anyway. And I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next Funko Pop unboxing. Cheers everyone. See ya! I don't know what the fuck that was.